Let us start with Acharya Vandanam. Lakshmīnātha samārambhām nāthayāmuna madhyamām asmadācārya paryantāṃ vande guru paramparam Shrīvatsavirā raghvīsha kripālabdhātma jīvanam ātreya gotrajam vande gurum gopāla deshikam Shrimān venkatanathārya kavitāर्किक kesari vedāntācārya varyo me sannidhattāṃ sada hrudi ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिं आधारं सर्वविद्यानां हयग्रीवमुपास्महे. So we saw in the last shloka, 21st shloka, that Swami Deshika was focusing on the feet of Bhagavan and on his anklets. So he looked at his anklets and he said the rays that are coming out of his anklets, right? So it's like those rays are like the early morning dawn, the rays of the sun that come out early in the morning, and it removes the ignorance, right? And it also gives you knowledge. So this is what he looked at. So now having looked at the rays, right, that are coming out from those anklets, so he now is focusing on the sound of those anklets. So we'll see what is being described in the shloka here. त्वत्किङ्करालङ्करणोचितानां त्वयैव कल्पान्तरपालितानां मञ्जुप्रणादं मणिनूपुरं ते मञ्जूषिकां वेदगिरां प्रतीमः. त्वत्किङ्करालङ्करणोचितानां त्वयैव कल्पान्तरपालितानां मञ्जुप्रणादं मणिनूपुरं ते मञ्जूषिकां वेदगिरां प्रतीमः. Let us look at the Padavi Bhaga for this. Tvat kinkaralankaranochitanam tvaya eva kalpantara palitanam manju pranadam mani nupuram te manjushikam vedagiram pratimaha. So most of the words are full compound words as said. So tvat kinkaralankaranochitanam is one full word. Tvaya eva. So tvaya eva has become tvaya plus eva. Kalpantara palitanam, one compound word. Manju pranadam, another compound word. Mani nupuram. Te manjushikam vedagiram pratimaha. This is the Padavi Bhaga. Now coming to the prose order, the Anvaya. Tvat kinkaralankaranochitanam tvaya eva kalpantara palitanam vedagiram manjushikam Manju pranadam te maninuparam pratimaha. Tvat kinkaralankaranochitanam tvaya eva kalpantara palitanam vedagiram manjushikam manju pranadam te maninuparam pratimaha. So pratimaha we know, we understand. Okay, what is it we know? Te maninupuram manju pranadam te maninuparam pratimaha. That's the key phrase there. Mani Nupura. So your Mani Nupura, the gem-studded Nupura, the anklet that you have. So that is the one that we are perceiving. So how do we perceive that? Is what is given by the rest of the phrases that we have here. So let's look at the word by word meaning to understand the details. Okay. Tvat kinkara alankarana uchitana. Tvat kinkara alankarana uchitana as those words. Tvat kinkara alankarana uchitana. So it is something which is fit to be worn as an ornament by your servants or devotees. So tvat, your kinkara, your kinkaras. Kinkara refers to those who want to serve you, servants, your devotees here. Alankarana, for them to adorn themselves, for them to be worn as an ornament. Uchita, it is fit. So you're talking about something which is fit to be worn by as an ornament by your devotees. Tvaya eva, tvaya, by you, eva, only, just only by you. Kalpa antara palitana, kalpa antara palitana. So kalpa antara, anya kalpa, so another kalpa, for the sake of another kalpa, at the end of every kalpa, for the sake of the next kalpa, palita, it is protected. So something which is protected at the end of every kalpa. What is protected at the end of every kalpa is given by the next term, Vedagiram. The Veda Giraha, that is the Vedic statements, the Vedas. So the Vedas, which are protected at the end of every kalpa by you only by you, okay? And which are fit to be worn as an ornament by your servants or your devotees. Okay, so for these Vedagiram, Manjushika as a treasure chest. Manjushika is something where you store something safely. It's a safety chest. So it's a treasure chest. Manju Pranadam. Manju is very melodious, very beautiful, right? So Manju Pranadam. Pranada is sound. So something which has a very melodious sound. So Manju Pranadam Te, your Mani Nupuram. So your Nupura is anklet, Mani are gems. So gem-studded anklets. Pratimaha, we understand or we know. So we know or we understand that your gem-studded anklets are like which have a very melodious sound. Okay, the gem-studded anklets which have this melodious sound are like a treasure chest of the Vedic statements. Right? So if we go back from here, we can understand what is being said here. So we understand that your gem-studded anklets, which have a very melodious sound, are like a treasure chest of the Vedic statements. And what are these Vedic statements like? They are protected by you at the end of every kalpa, and they are fit to be worn as an ornament by your servants or devotees. So he's saying that, this Manju Pranada, your anklets, when you're walking or when you move, the anklets, they make that very nice jingling sound, right? So that sound is almost like, is looking at that sound as that of the Vedas themselves. So he's saying that those anklets are holding the Vedas. And when are they holding those Vedas? At the end of every kalpa. So at the end of every kalpa, Bhagavan protects the Vedas, and again he makes them known to Brahma, right? So that aspect is being captured very beautifully here in a very poetic manner. Okay. So this Manju Pranada, so the beautiful sound of the gem-studded anklets is nothing but the Vedas. So you are looking at the anklets as something which is holding, it's a box that is holding these Vedic statements, the Vedas. Okay. And these Vedas are something which are fit to be, which have to be worn by all of us, all devotees on their heads and celebrated. And it is protected by you at the end of every kalpa. So this is the word by word meaning here. Now let's look at the Bhavartha. So as I said, having described the light rays which are emanating from the anklets, Swami Deshika now describes the sound of the anklets, right? So the Vedas basically is comparing the Vedas and the anklets, right? And Vedas is something which is stored or just kept in the anklets, sound of the anklets. So the Vedas are fit to be borne by your devotees or servants on their heads like an ornament. And you are responsible for the preservation of these Vedas at the end of every kalpa. Because it is fit to be worn by your devotees, you want to give it to them at the end of every kalpa, right? At the beginning of every kalpa, rather. So at the end of every kalpa, you need to preserve those Vedas. So where do you preserve them? You preserve them in your anklets. So he's telling Bhagavan Hayagriva that you're preserving those, the Vedas in your anklets. So these anklets, they are studded with small bells that have a very pleasing and melodious sound. They'll have this half open kind of beads, right? Bells. So it makes a very nice melodious sound. So this sound itself is none other than that of the Vedas. So we surmise that your anklets are the treasure house or the treasure chest of the Vedas. So we're saying that just as people preserve their wealth for posterity, for their children, grandchildren, and so on, in their treasure chests, so also you are preserving the Vedic treasure, which is to be handed over at the turn of every kalpa in your anklets. And as Hayagriva, you reveal the Vedas again to Brahmadeva. So you've already seen this, right? So Hayagriva is someone who reveals the Vedas to Brahma at the beginning of every kalpa in order to do the creation. So Bhagavan is preserving those Vedas. So it's very beautifully said. Where does he preserve those Vedas? He's preserving it only in his anklets. So the sound that we have in the anklets are nothing but the Vedas themselves. So that's a picturization we have here. So Tvat, and coming to some of the details here, Tvat Kinkara Alankarana Uchitana. So Tvat kinkara, tava kinkara, your kinkaras, right? So who are your kinkara? Starting from Brahma, everybody is your devotee. Everybody is your, they are there to serve you. Okay, so because we said, right, yo brahmanam vidadhati purvam, yo vai vedagamisha prahinodi tasmai. He's the one who hands over the Vedas to Brahma at the beginning of every kalpa. So definitely for Brahma, the Vedas are fit to be worn as an ornament. He is bowing down to the Vedas, so he is wearing it on his head, right? So tvat kinkarana alankarana uchitana. So fit to adorn the heads. So it's fit to be worn as an ornament or to be celebrated. You can say it's something we always, if you want to celebrate something, we keep it on our heads and celebrate it, right? So it's a similar celebration. Okay, so that is the kinkara. So kinkara can refer to Brahma. So kinkara can refer to, as we said, devotees, right? See, and we look at as just devotees in general. So devotees, when they bow down to the feet of the Lord, what will happen? Automatically, those feet, when they adorn their heads, the anklets which are there also will adorn their heads, right? So the Vedas, so you can also look at it as the anklets are fit to be worn on their heads. So that is also another way of interpreting it. Okay, so that is one thing that we look at. Yeah, so as we said, those who are wealthy, when they have a lot of wealth, they preserve all their wealth in a safety chest. Not only for the sake of protecting the wealth, right? It is also for the sake of their posterity, right? That they want to pass it on to their children, grandchildren. They are interested in the welfare of their descendants, right? So similarly, Bhagavan is protecting these Vedas so that one, the Vedas have to be protected. That is one. Second is because he is interested in the welfare of humanity, interested in the welfare of all of us. So starting from Brahma, who is his child, right? Who is his son? From there to all of us, to all the generations that are coming after that. So for the benefit of all of us, he is protecting the Vedas in his own anklets and he is giving it to us. So that's the duty of this particular verse. Is a sound made by the anklets compared to the Vedas? Yes, that's the question that somebody has asked. Yes, that's right. That is the that's the understanding. You're right. So the sound that's coming from the anklets are nothing but the Vedas themselves. That's how it is being portrayed. Okay. So kind of straightforward verse with that poetic beauty that we have. So let's repeat this shloka once more before we move on to the next one. Tvat kinkaralankaranocitanam tvayaiva kalpantara-palitanam manju pranadam maninupuram te manjushikam vedagiram pratimaha. Okay, so let's move to go to the next shloka. Sanchintayami pratibhadashasthan sandhukshayantam samaya pradipan Vijnana kalpadruma pallavabham Vyakhyana mudra madhuram karamte. Sanchintayami pratibhadashasthan sandhukshayantam samaya pradipan Vijnana kalpadruma pallavabham Vyakhyana mudra madhuram karamte. So starting from this shloka onwards, 23, 24 and 25, next three shlokas, Swami Deshika focuses on the hands of Lord Hayagriva. Okay, so he has now described the feet. So next he's looking at the hands, having looked at the feet and described the feet as the lotus feet and also the anklets. Now he's coming to the hands. Okay, so let's see what he's saying here. So Padavi Bhaga first. Sanchintayami Pratibha Dashasthan Sandhukshayantam Samaya Pradipan Vijnana Kalpadruma Pallavabham Vyakhyana Mudra Madhuram Karamte. Sanchintayami, first word as it is. Pratibha Dashasthan, another compound word. Sandhukshayantam Samaya Pradipan, single word again. Vijnana Kalpadruma Pallavabham, that's again another big compound word. Vyakhyana mudra madhuram, another compound word, karam te. So all the words are as such. There's really not really any sandhi that we have in this. Okay, so the Padavibhaga is very straightforward here. So the Anvaya, coming to the Anvaya, the order. Pratibha dashasthan samaya pradipan sandhukshayantam Vijnana kalpadruma pallavabham Vyakhyana mudra madhuram te karam sanchintayami. Pratibha dashasthan samaya pradipan sandhukshayantam Vijnana kalpadruma pallavabham Vyakhyana mudra madhuram te karam sanchintayami. So the core phrase here is Te karam sanchintayami. Te, your, karam, your hand, sanchintayami, I am thinking about it. I am meditating on your hand. So what does that hand look like? That's the description that we have in the rest of the phrases. Pratibhadashasthan samaya pradipan sandukshayantam Vijnana kalpadruva pallavabham Vyakhyana mudra madhuram. So there are three descriptions for this. Te karam, your hand. So let's come to the word by word meaning. Pratibha dashasthan. So pratibha is buddhi. Okay, it's intellect. So dasha refers to the wick of a lamp. So in the lamp we have this wick, right, which we light. So the wick of the lamp is called dasha. So pratibha dashasthan means that the pratibha, the buddhi, the intellect is like the wick. Okay. So we are looking at some lamp which has the wick as the intellect. So something which has the wick of intellect. So pratibha dashasthan. Samaya pradipan. So what are these pradipa? Pradipa is a lamp, huge lamps, okay, which glow for a very long time. Okay, so pradipa. So samaya pradipan. So samaya refers to Siddhanta or philosophy or the Vedantic tradition. So samaya pradipan refers to the huge lamps of the Vedantic tradition or of the Siddhanta, of the philosophy or the schools of thought. Okay, so samaya pradipan. So pratibha dashasthan samaya pradipan. So the lamps, huge lamps of the Vedic tradition, which have the wick of the intellect, which have the intellect as the wick. Right? So that's what we mean there. Sandhukshayantam. Sandhukshayantam means it is kindling. Okay, so normally when you have the wick, right, and the lamp is there, in order for the lamp to keep glowing, so you will kindle the wick, right? So that is what is being mentioned here. So Sandhukshayantam. So samaya pratibhadashasthan samaya pradipan sandhukshayantam. So kindling the huge lamps of the Vedantic tradition, which have the wick of the intellect. So by adjusting that intellect, right? So by making the intellect sharper. So he is keeping the samaya pradipa, the huge lamps glowing, continuously glowing. So that is what it meant over here, kindling that. So that's one phrase. So pratibhadashasthan samaya pradipan sandhukshayantam te karam sanchintayami. So let's look at this. Te is your, karam is hand, sanchintayami, I constantly think of. So I constantly think of your hand or I deliberate on your hand. So that's the meaning here. So one description of that hand is, it's like it is, it is kindling the lamp, the wick of the huge lamps of Vedantic tradition. We will understand the details a little bit more. This is the word by word meaning. So Vijnana kalpadruma pallavabham. So next we are looking at Vijnana kalpadruma pallava abham. And what else does it look like? So it's like the kalpadruma. So we have already seen this word. Right? Kalpadruma is the kalpa vriksha, the kalpa tree, which is known for granting all our wishes. So now you're looking at kalpadruma, a kalpa tree. It's a Vijnana kalpadruma. It's a kalpa tree of knowledge, of wisdom. So you're looking at a tree, a kalpadruma, which is nothing but, which is knowledge itself. The knowledge itself is the kalpa tree. So in that kalpadruma, pallava abham. So it is like a pallava. Pallava means it's like a tender shoot that comes out from the tree, or a small blossom that comes out. So it's like that. Abha, it is like that. It has, it has that splendor of that pallava, of the tender shoots that are coming out of that kalpa tree. Okay, so Vijnana Kalpadruma Pallava Abham. So it is like this tender shoot of the kalpa tree of wisdom. So which means you're looking at Hayagriva Bhagavan, his entire Swarupa itself as a Vijnana Swarupa. So in that Swarupa, the hand is like a small tender shoot, right? It looks like a tender shoot. So that's what he means here. So that kind of a Vyakhyana Mudra Madhuram Tekara. So Vyakhyana Mudra Madhuram. So what is his hand like? So he's giving some description, right? So what exactly is his hand looking like? It has this Vyakhyana Mudra. So Vyakhyana Mudra is what we call as a Jnana Mudra or Chin Mudra or Bodha Mudra. So it has, so you have the index finger and the thumb. They are touching each other, and the other three fingers are kept open, right? So Vyakhyana Mudra. So that Vyakhyana Mudra. So he's holding that. He's having that hand has the Vyakhyana Mudra. So, and this Vyakhyana Mudra, Madhuram. So, how is that Vyakhyana Mudra? It is captivating. It is Madhuram. It's so sweet, right? It's captivating our hearts. So, that Vyakhyana Mudra, Madhuram, that Upadesha Mudra, which is so nice and captivating. So, that hand of yours is the one that I am constantly thinking on. So, now, having looked at this Vyakhyana Mudra, Madhuram, we can see how these two things are also related to that, right? The other two phrases. So the moment you say that it's a Vyakhyana Mudra or Chin Mudra, so it's something which is giving knowledge. So when we say that it's a Vijnana Kalpadruma Pallavabham, so you can imagine, right, that the shape of that Jnana Mudra, you can imagine that to be, and it is like, and imagine Bhagavan's hand should be so tender and, with that nice huge, it almost looks like just a tender shoot that's coming out of a tree. So that kind of a picturization, what we are seeing in this phrase here. So Vijnana Kalpadruma Pallavam. And he is the tree of knowledge. So obviously from the tree of knowledge, this knowledge is being given to us, right? So that's why it is a small shoot of knowledge that is coming out from the tree. So that is one part. Similarly, if you look at the shape, the way it is the hand, the shape of the Chin Mudra, it looks like something which can be, that the shape that we normally have when you're kindling the lamp, the wick of the lamp. So which is why he says it is kindling the intellect of the wick, which is like the intellect, which is like the wick of the huge lamps of the Vedantic tradition. So Samaya Pradipan. So it is kindling the Samaya Pradipa. So it's making sure that the Vedantic tradition is understood properly by making the intellect sharper. And that is happening by this Chin Mudra. So he's giving out the right knowledge so that we are able to understand the Siddhanta properly and are able to establish the Siddhanta properly. So that's the understanding over here. Okay. Now let's look at the Bhavartha. Okay. So we saw that, right? So if you having meditated on the feet of Hayagriva Bhagavan, now Swami Deshika is shifting his focus to his hands. So the hand that he is talking about here is the lower right hand. So it's in the form of Chin Mudra and also holds the Japamala. So here we will see that in this verse he's focusing on the Chin Mudra. In the next verse we will see that he'll focus on the Japamala. Okay. So Madhur Te Karam Sanchintayami. So I am meditating on your hand. So on your right hand. So let's understand. On your right hand, which holds this charming Upadesha Mudra. So this mudra of your tender fingers, it looks like the fresh blossom or sprout of the kalpa tree of knowledge. So both in color and texture, right? So a sprout typically will have that, that fresh color, right? That kind of a reddish or kind of color. So which is very charming. So that color and the texture also so soft, right? So obviously Bhagavan's hand will be so soft. So that soft, tender, your fingers, they look like the blossom or sprout of a tree. And the tree that we have is the kalpa tree of knowledge. So obviously it is handing out whatever knowledge is sought. Because it's a kalpa tree, right? So kalpa tree is one that gives us whatever we seek. It's a tree of knowledge. So therefore, whatever knowledge we seek, it is just handing it out. So it appears as if it is kindling the wick of the lamp, right? So that's another picturization here. So which lamp is it kindling and what is the wick? So it is kindling the lamp of the Vedantic tattvas, whose wick is the intellect. So which helps to understand the explanation of the philosophical concepts in line with the Vedas. So we need to understand that it has to be aligned with the Vedas, right? So Bhagavan makes sure that your understanding of the tattvas, which are there in the Vedas, right, or on Vedanta, are in alignment with the Vedas. So he makes sure that you're understanding things correctly. And that is happening by kindling this wick, the intellect wick. So he makes sure that we are sharp and we will understand things correctly. Okay, that's the idea. So the mudra, therefore, awakens one's wisdom to master the Vedantic thoughts. That's what is being conveyed here. So obviously, if I vyakhyana mudra, madhuram karam. So if I keep thinking of, if I keep meditating on that, so what will happen? I will gain knowledge. So in order to gain knowledge, I will meditate on your hand, which is having this chin mudra or the vyakhyana mudra. Okay. So that's the what we are seeing here. Okay. Some of the final details that you have, Pratibha Dashasthan. Yeah, we saw that. Samaya Pradipa. Let's look at that. Pradipa. Okay, so Pradipa normally refers to large lamps which are glowing continuously. So you want to make sure that so when you say Samaya Pradipan, so the lamps of our tradition or of our Vedantic thoughts, they are glowing continuously, right? So they are never put off, right? So they're always on. So that is a Samaya Pradipa. Okay. So and then Pratibha Dashastha. So coming to the word Pratibha. Okay. So Pratibha, I said, is intellect, right? So it's not just simple intellect. This normally we say Pratibha is something which is which gives you new ideas. Okay? Medha Nava Nava Unmesha Shalini Pratibham Viduhu is what is said. Okay. So Nava Nava, it keeps giving you new ideas. Now you're able to interpret it nicely, differently, so that, I mean, not differently, in the sense that it becomes more understandable in a manner which is understandable, so that you are able to establish your point of view. There is a Siddhantic view, right? Whatever is the Siddhanta, whatever is your Samaya, your tradition, you want to establish that. So it is something which helps you to establish that tradition. So that's the Pratibha and Pradipa. So these two are important words, choice of words that we have over here. And Vijnana Kalpadruma. So here we have to understand that that Bhagavan Shariram, no, he's a Jnanamaya Sharira, right? So Jnananandamayam, we already seen that. So Vijnana Kalpadruma is a Jnanamaya Sharira. So it is Bhagavan Sharira, that his Swarupam, right? That Jnana Swarupam that he is. So he is capable, that Swarupa is obviously capable of giving us whatever knowledge we seek. Okay? So that's the understanding in this. Yeah, there's a comment which says, yeah, wonderful Bhavarthas. It's a powerful imagination. Definitely, yeah. Swami's imagination is really unparalleled. So it's really beautiful. Okay. So that's the understanding we have here. Okay. All right. So let's move on. Okay, let's repeat the shloka before we move to the next one. Sanchintayami pratibhadashasthan sandhukshayantam samaya pradipan vijnana kalpadruma pallavabham vyakhyana mudra madhuram karam te. Okay, so now we go to the 24th verse. Chitte karomi spuritaakshamalam savyetaram natha karam tvadiyam jnanamritodanchanalam patanam leela ghati yantramivashritanam. There is also another patha where instead of lampata we have lalasa. So lampatanam we have lalasana. I'll read that also. Chitte karomi spuritaakshamalam savyetaram natha karam tvadiyam jnanamritodanchana lalasanam leela ghati yantramivashritanam. So lampata is more popular than lalasa. So we will stick to the version with lampata. But meaning is the same. Okay, they are just paryaya pada kind of. So coming to the pada vibhaga, chitte karomi spuritaakshamalam savyetaram natha karam twadiyam jnanamrutodanchana lampatanam leela ghati yantram iva ashritanam. So chitte karomi, these two words come as such. Spuritaakshamalam, single compound word we have here. Savyetaram, another compound word. Natha, karam, twadiyam. Okay, these are straightforward. Jnanamrutodanchana lampatanam is again another one compound word. So here we have leela ghati yantram iva ashritanam. So these three words have got combined here in the last pada. Leela ghati yantram iva ashritanam. Okay. Now coming to the anvaya. Natha spuritaakshamalam jnanamrutodanchana lampatanam ashritanam leela ghati yantram iva twadiyam savyetaram karam chitte karomi. Natha spuritaakshamalam jnanamrutodanchana lampatanam ashritanam leela ghati yantram iva twadiyam savyetaram karam chitte karomi. So core phrase that we have here is twadiyam savyetaram karam chitte karomi. So karam chitte karomi. Karam, hand, chitte, in my mind, karomi, I keep it. Okay, I place your hand in my heart. So which hand? Twadiyam savyetaram karam. Savya is left. Savyetara refers to right. Twadiyam, your right hand, I place in my heart. So what is that right hand? We already looked at the chin mudra, which is there in the right hand. Now we are also looking at the spuritakshamala, akshamala. So the Bhagavan has the akshamala in his hand, right? The beads, rosary beads that we say. So these beads he has in his hand. So the spuritakshamala twadiyam savyetaram karam chitte karomi. So this hand, which has right hand, which has this akshamala, that hand I place in my heart. So how does that akshamala look like? That's the description that we have in this big phrase here. Jnanamrutodanchana lampatanam ashritanam leela ghati yantram iva sthitam. It is like that. So we'll understand the meaning for this. Word by word meaning. Natha, O Bhagavan, spurita akshamalam. Spurita is something which is shining. Akshamala. So aksha is the beads, the rosary beads. Mala is the string. So the shining string of rosary beads. Spurita akshamalam. So the hand is shining with this rosary beads. Jnana amrita udanchana lampatanam. Jnana amrito udanchana lampatanam. We saw it. So it has these words. Jnana amrita udanchana lampatanam. Jnana, knowledge. Amrita is the nectar or ambrosia. So jnana amrita. So ambrosia of knowledge. Udanchana. So udanchana is to take it up or to bring it upwards. Right? So udanchana means to take it out. Lampatana, eager to do that. So eager to extract the ambrosia of knowledge. Okay. So who is eager to extract the ambrosia of knowledge? Ashritana, your devotees. So your devotees, Ashrita, those who have taken refuge in you. For those who have taken refuge in you, who are eager to extract the ambrosia of knowledge, right? For them, this hand, right? This akshamala, this hand with the akshamala, it looks like leela ghati yantram iva sthitam. Sthitam is just for us to understand. Okay, just we do adhyar of that word there. Leela ghati yantra. So leela ghati yantra. So ghati yantra refers to a pulley-like instrument which is actually used to fetch water from a well. So if you have seen in some of the fields, okay, they have this instrument of this kind of a pulley-like instrument. So you have this circular structure which has many containers. Okay, so these containers will keep going up and down. Right, when you rotate this whole thing, right, the container will go up and down. So when the container goes down, it will fetch water from the well. When it comes out, it will throw the water out, right? And since there are a series of containers, continuously water will be fetched and will be drawn out. So this is so it's called a ghati yantra. So now this Akshamala, but these Ghati Yantras are normally big ones, right? So here we're looking at Ghati Yantra of Bhagavan, this Akshamala that he has in his hand, as a Leela Ghati Yantra. So it's like a playful toy. It's like a toy. This toy is a small Ghati Yantra that he's having in his hand. Okay. So this Leela Ghati Yantra. So what is this? A normal Ghati Yantra is used to fetch water. So what is it fetching here? Now it is fetching Jnana Amrita Udanchana Lampatanam Ashritanam. So these Ashritas, your devotees, what are they eager to extract? They are eager to extract the knowledge from the ambrosia of knowledge. Okay. So this Ghati Yantra that Bhagavan has in his hand, it's pulling, it's like taking the knowledge from the huge container of knowledge that he already has, right? Taking it from that and delivering it to his devotees. So this picturization again of this instrument. So can you imagine? It keeps going round and round, and it picks up this knowledge, the ambrosia, the nectar of knowledge from this huge well, and it delivers it to the devotees. So that is why that's this phase. So Jnanamrita Udanchana Lampatana Ashritana Leela Ghati Yantram Iva. So it is like a Leela Ghati Yantra, like this playful puli-like instrument, which is used to extract the ambrosia of knowledge for those who are for your devotees. So that's the idea. Okay. So Twadiyam, your Savyetara, Savya Itara. Savya is left, Itara is other. So other than the left means right. So your right hand, Karam, in my heart, Karomi, I place. So I place your right hand in my heart, which is like a playful puli-like instrument for the devotees who are eager to extract the ambrosia of knowledge. Okay. So this, I'm sorry, I should have also brought this word inside that complete translation. Let's do that again. So I place your right hand with the shining string of rosary beads in my heart, which is like a playful puli-like instrument, which is used to extract the ambrosia of knowledge for your devotees who are eager to get that knowledge. So that's the picturization in this particular shloka. Again, another beautiful imagination of Swami Deshika. Let's look at the Bhavartha. So Swami Deshika is now focusing on the right hand only, which is holding the rosary beads, the Japamala. So, hey Nata, my master, I firmly place your right hand in my heart to constantly meditate on it. That's the idea. So this hand holds a string of birds used to count japa. Right? Japamala is something used to count japa. So obviously what's happening when you're counting japa, the japamala is moving in a circular motion, right? So a japamala is typically moved in a circular motion as we count. So this japamala in Bhagavan's hand, so it looks like a smaller version or a toy version of an instrument that is used to fetch water from a well, which has many containers which are moved in a circular fashion to bring the water up. What I explained a little earlier, right? So that you have this series of containers and you keep moving them. So Bhagavan is anyway moving his japamala. If it is japamala, he is obviously moving it, right? So this movement is like moving these containers. So that's why that Ghati Yantra. That's why it's compared to that instrument there. So this japamala is now continuously fetching the nectar of knowledge for your devotees who have surrendered to you and are eager to get that nectar of knowledge from you. So you're constantly handing it over to them. So this right hand, the japamala, is firmly placed in my heart. Okay. So that's the meaning of this particular verse here. Most of it is straightforward. There aren't any specific details as such, except that, we have this use of Savyetara. So Savyetara normally refers to right, okay, and Dakshina. So Savyetara, Paryaya Pada for that will be Dakshina. And we have already seen this. Dakshina means right. And Dakshina also always refers to compassion. Okay, so that is also there. So when you say Savyetaram Karam, your right hand. So when you say right hand, that compassion, Dakshina Kara, if you say, then becomes the compassionate hand also. So we'll see the next verse that he actually uses the Dakshina. The word Dakshina itself is used in a different context. So this play of words we will see when we'll compare this shloka and the next verse also. So we'll look at the next shloka and we'll understand how this, how he uses his left and right in a very interesting manner. Okay, there's some other question. Yeah, so savyetara is used. Dakshina. So you're using the word, dakshina is the right hand. Dakshina is the word used for right. So savyetara is also normally used in many contexts for right hand. So in this case, it could be for the chandas that he has used savyetara. Because the next shloka we see he's using dakshina also. He uses savya and dakshina together. We'll see that shloka. Then you will understand it even better. I mean, you'll appreciate the beauty of this, of the usage. Okay. So let's repeat the shloka before we move to the next one. Chitte karomi spuritakshamalам savyetaram nath karam twadiyam jnanamritodanchanalam patanam leela ghati yantramivashritanam. So this is the second shloka on Bhagavan's right hand. So now he will move to the left hand. So we'll look at what is the description there. So 25th verse. Prabodha sindhorarunaif prakashaihi pravala sanghatamivodvahantam vibhavaye deva sapustakam te vamam karam dakshinamashritanam. Prabodha sindhorarunaif prakashaihi pravala sanghatamivodvahantam vibhavaye deva sapustakam te vamam karam dakshinamashritanam. Padavibhaga. Prabodha sindhoho arunaihi prakashaihi pravala sanghatam iva udvahantam vibhavaye deva sapustakam te vamam karam dakshinam ashritanam. So we have some sandhi here. Prabodha sindhoho arunaihi. Prabodha sindhor arunaihi is Prabodha sindhoho arunaihi prakashaihi pravala sanghatam iva udvahantam. Pravala sanghatam iva. Iva and udvahantam has become ivodvahantam. So ivodvahantam is split as iva and udvahantam. Pravala sanghatam iva udvahantam. So three words in this particular pada. Vibhavaye deva sapustakam te. All single words. Vamam karam. Dakshinam ashritanam. So dakshinam ashritanam is split as dakshinam ashritanam. Okay, that's the Padavi Bhaga. Anvaya. So looking at the Anvaya now. He Deva. Arunaihi prakashaihi prabodha sindhoho pravala sanghatam udvahantam iva ashritanam dakshinam sapustakam te vamam karam vibhavaye. He Deva. Arunaihi prakashaihi prabodha sindhoho pravala sanghatam udvahantam iva ashritanam dakshinam sapustakam te vamam karam vibhavaye. So te vamam karam vibhavaye. So again, te karam vibhavaye. I think of your hand. Vamam karam vibhavaye. So your left hand. Vamam is left. So te vamam karam vibhavaye. I think of your left hand. I meditate on your left hand. Sapustakam te vamam karam vibhavaye. So your left hand which has a book, which is holding a book, which has a book, hand with the book. So that hand I am thinking about. So what does this vamam karam do? What does it do? This hand which has the book, what is it? I mean, how do we understand that? What is the description for that? That is this entire description that we have here. Arunaihi prakashaihi prabodha sindhoho pravala sanghatam udvahantam iva ashritanam dakshinam sapustakam te vamam karam vibhavaye. So we'll come to the word by word meaning. He Deva. O Deva. Arunaihi. Aruna is red. That red hue, the red color. So Arunaihi by the red. Prakashaihi. By the red light or the red rays of light. By the red rays of light. Prabodha sindhoho. Prabodha is knowledge. Sindhu is ocean. So the ocean of knowledge. Of the ocean of knowledge. Pravala sanghatam. So pravala is, it refers to red corals. You know, the pavaram that we say in Tamil, right? So it's pravala. So red corals. So sanghata. Sanghata is a collection or a cluster. So it's like a cluster of red corals. Udvahanta. So udvahanta is drawing out. So take out. Iva, like. Ashritanam, to those who have sought your refuge, who have taken refuge in you. Dakshinam, to them, to your Ashrita, to your devotees, it is compassionate. Sapustakam, with book. Te, your Vamam, left, Karam, hand, Vibhavaye, I think about. So I think about your left hand, which has a book, which is compassionate to those who have sought your refuge. And which is like, which looks like it is drawing out a cluster of red corals from the ocean of knowledge by means of the red hue or light that it has. Okay, that is the color of the hand, right? The sapustakam, the left hand, which is holding the book. Okay, it is the color of that hand itself it's like, just as we saw that pallava, the tender shoot. So similarly, the tender redness is there in his hands. So that redness, right? It looks like it's like it's holding a cluster of red corals. So the hand looks as if it's like, and it's not even red, it's more like that red and orange kind of a color. So that color of the coral, pavara or pravala color. So that color. So you can imagine Bhagavan's left hand of that color. So what is that color there for? So it looks like it's holding this red corals. And what are those red corals here? Where are these red corals taken from? The corals are typically taken from the ocean, right? So here, these red corals, where is he taking these red corals from? From the ocean of knowledge. So his hand, when he is holding the book in his hand, the left hand, it looks as if he's just drawn out a set of corals and he's holding it in his hand. And these corals are drawn from the ocean of knowledge. Okay, so that color looks like it is holding you can compare by means of the color. He's comparing it to the red corals, which are taken from the ocean of knowledge. So he has corals of knowledge, basically. Corals taken from the ocean of knowledge in the form of a book. And he is giving out to us because of the compassion that he has. Ashritanam dakshinam. So your hand is something which is compassionate for those who have taken your refuge. So that left hand, I'm thinking about. I would like to think about. That is the overall meaning here. Now let's look at the Bhavartha. Okay. So Swami Deshika is now focusing on the left hand holding a book. So he's finished the right hand. Now he's looking at the left hand, right? So Bhagavan, I constantly reflect on your left hand, which is adorned by a book. Okay. So the palm and the tender fingers of your hand holding the book look like a cluster of corals due to their red hue. So that reddish orange kind of hue, right? So it looks like it's holding a cluster of corals. It looks like a cluster of corals. So this appears as if you have drawn out the corals from the ocean of knowledge and are ready to confer it on your devotees who have surrendered unto you. And why are you doing that? Because of your boundless compassion for them. Okay, so that's the overall meaning of this verse. This again is a very straightforward verse in one sense, except for that uncomparison with the pearls, with the corals. So that coral comparison is very interesting. Other than that, many of the other words are very straightforward, right? Sapustakam te vamam karam vibhavaye. So I am bowing, or I am thinking of your hand which has this book in it. Okay. Now this vamam karam dakshinam ashritanam. So there again, you have this play of words with left and right. Okay. So it'll appear as if when you say vamam karam, it is left hand. So dakshinam, then it looks as if it is a right. Okay. So when you just read it as such, you say vamam karam dakshinam ashritanam. So the karam can be connected to both vamam and dakshinam, and you can kind of be a little, taken aback. What is exactly being said over here? So you have to understand this correctly, right? So it's vamam karam. It's the left hand, all right. But it is ashritanam dakshinam. So it is something which is compassionate for those who have taken refuge in you. Okay, so that's the very interesting use of words here. Okay, that opposites are used together like that. Okay, another aspect that you can look at over here is, normally, we say that, right? So if somebody hands out something with their left hand, you don't consider it to be auspicious. Okay, so, but here, of course, for Bhagavan, it really does not matter. But here again, you can kind of understand it is not so. Because that Vamam Karam itself is Dakshinam. So that Vamam Karam is right. It is doing the right thing, right? It is compassionate. So it is compassionate, and you can look at it as it is right. So therefore, it is ashritanam dakshinam, and therefore it's a right hand. So that also you can kind of understand it like that. So that interesting use of dakshinam and vama that we find over here. Okay. Yeah. So other than that, all the others are pretty straightforward here. Prabodha Sindhu, that is knowledge, ocean of knowledge, and Arunaihi Prakashahi. So Aruna Prakasha. So again, this Aruna Prakasha, Aruna is the word we are finding again and again that he is using, right? That light which comes out, it's not a bright light which will, which is difficult for us to see. It has that light hue. It's very pleasant, right? That reddish hue that you have, which you see at dawn, or at that Arunodayam we say, right? So that kind of a nice light. So that's why he's comparing it to the corals, right? That corals, you can imagine how beautiful that will look, right? So Bhagwan's hand is like that. So to that hasta, to that karam, he will pray. So we pray to his feet, and now when you look at his hands, you think of these things and you pray to his hands in this manner. So 3 shlokas very beautifully describing the 3 aspects of his of what he has in his hand. One described, the first shloka described the Chinmudra, then the Akshamala, and now the Pustaka. Right? So all these 3 are described very beautifully in these 3 verses. So I wanted to look at all these 3 verses together. So I'm happy that we've been able to cover them together in one class like that. Okay, so let's read this verse once again before we complete. Prabodha sindhor arunaif prakashaihi pravala sanghatamivodvahantam vibhavaye deva sapustakam te vamam karam dakshinamashritanam. Okay, so so we read 4 shlokas in today's class. Let's see if there are any other questions. What is lampatana? So lampata is greedy or eager. Lampata basically means greed. Okay, wanting more and more of it. So here, greedy is not in a negative context, connotation. So the connotation of lampata here is more of they are eager for more knowledge, right? So that eagerness, you can always be greedy for knowledge. So that is the lampata word that is used over here. So lalasa also would have a similar, lalasa is more like desirous. So lampata is that you desire it with a lot of eagerness. So that is also conveyed by that lampata word. So lampata means that. Okay. So any other questions are there? I think we've answered all the questions. Okay. Anybody else has any other questions? You can ask. Otherwise, we can conclude. Okay. So if there are no other questions, we can complete the session after looking at the Mangala Shloka. कवितार्किकसिंहाय कल्याणगुणशालिने श्रीमते वेङ्कटेशाय वेदान्तगुरवे नमः।